All right, so if you watch the Texans post-game video, which was pretty much, I should just title that video Garrett Wilson, because that whole video was just all about how fucking great his catch was, and and on top of a really solid win on Halloween. I mean, just really good stuff. But he pretty much headlined that video. If you didn't check out that video, check it out. I got some good highlights in there too of him with the catch and everything. But in that video, I did talk about. I said, look for a video. I said, I'm going to make the video. I said, look for this video. And what was that video about? It's a jet delusion. It's about how I feel like they could still possibly make the playoffs from this point on. They're 3-6 now. And even though it doesn't seem like, the playoffs are a possibility at this point, when you think about it, and this is what we're going to do with this video, we're going to take a look at the rest of this Jets schedule, and we're just going to break some stuff down. We're going to look at the teams that they're going to play. I'm going to talk about some aspects just in general within the AFC. I reiterated it in the Texans post game. I said the playoffs are a possibility. Could be a jet delusion. It probably is. But now that they've beaten the Texans, you have winnable games. And we're going to take a look at that in a second. All right, if you include the Houston game, which is what we're going to do here. So if you include the Houston game, there's 9 games left in the season, including the Houston game. So to me, I really felt like, and I still kind of feel this way, in order for the Jets to make the playoffs, to me, realistically, they need to go 8-1 in these last 9 games. So right now they're 1-0. They beat Houston, right? So I feel like they can only afford to lose 1 game. So if they win 8, if they go 8-1, and we're going to look at the schedule, we're going to look at everything. And because, like I said, winnable games, right? So we're going to look at that in a second. But what I'm saying here, otherwise I wouldn't even be wasting my time making this fucking video, because that proves that I think that these are winnable games. So anyway, like I'm saying, if they go 8-1 in these next 9, all right, and they got one under their belt already, if they go 8-1, now we're talking wild card here, okay? Because winning the division, I think, is a done deal at this point. Like, unless Buffalo completely collapses, they are not winning this division. So we got to think wild card here, all right? And to do that, we need to look at who they're playing coming up, and we also need to look at a few other factors with other teams. And we're going to do that, like I said, in a second. But let's go back to what I'm saying. Forget the division title. We got to think wild card here, all right? And I'm going to show you this in a second, but I was looking at it before. You're probably looking at the final spot that they can grab. I don't think they're going to be able to grab any other spot. So we're going to be focusing on that final spot, which I think there are 7 seeds. So it'll be the 7th seed. That's the wild card, right? So we're going to focus on that. All right, so here is the AFC right now, okay? Forget about the NFC. Here's the AFC, all right? Because that's all we care about, all right? You have, all right, 7 right here, 7 available playoff spots, right? So listen, obviously, Chiefs, Bills are 1 and 2. They're obviously definitely in. Steelers they're a surprise to me. They're the 3 seed. I mean, did anybody see that coming this year? Texans, right? Then we have the Ravens, who, all right, I don't see the Ravens collapsing. I think they're just going to keep ascending, right? So then here are the two wild card positions in my mind for the Jets. Now the Chargers are 5-3. All right, so I think we have to really focus on, like I was saying, the 7th seed, because the Broncos are 5-4, and that's our range, because we're 3-6. So there's a 2-game window there for us. All right, now on the bubble. right? Which a lot of some other sites will say in the hunt. You got the Colts, the Bengals. These are the teams basically we're competing with to get into the playoffs, and then you have the Jets. So right now, Jets are 3-6. That's 9 games already. That's crazy. 9 fucking games played already. So 3-6, right? 9 games. 17-game schedule, right? Including the Houston game, which they already played and they won, right? They have 9 games left in the season, including Houston. In my opinion, it feels like they have to go 8-1 in these last 9 games, right? And they want to know they beat Houston. So that means that they can only afford to lose 1 game in this next batch of games until the end of the season. Now, can they afford to lose 2? It's possible. If they lose 2, now you're talking about 7-2 in the final 9, and that would bring them to 9-8. And 9-8 could be a wild card position with probably help from other teams. So, bottom line here is, out of the next 9 games, including Houston, in my opinion, there's no way they can lose more than 2. No way. And ultimately, I think they can only lose 1. If they only lose 1, if they go 8-1 out of these last 9, then I really think they get in. Because, like, well, what did we say? They'd be 10-7. I think that gets them into the playoffs. All right, so now that I kind of know what the fuck I'm talking about, again, the math was fucking my head up for that for a second. Now that I know what I'm talking about, let's take a look at the schedule. Let's take a look at the remaining schedule. And like I said, we're going to start with Houston. Because Houston, right, Houston's part of that last 9 games that I was talking about, right? So, starting with Houston, which we already won, we're 1-0 in the last 9. All right? Now, let's take a look at what we have coming up here. Next game up is the Cardinals, okay? Here's the next game. To me, this is not going to be an easy game. So, the Cardinals are 5-4. All right? So, Cardinals seem to be playing good ball. I don't think the Cardinal game is going to be an easy game. And we're in Arizona. So this is a tough one. This could be, not going to do the prediction here, but this could be the loss that we're talking about, maybe. I hope not, because you still got Buffalo and Miami. So the Cardinals is not so much of a winnable game, but can they beat the Cardinals? I think they can. But I don't think it's going to be easy. Then, you got the Colt game. Colts are 4-5. Right here. Colts are 4-5. So, 4-5, they got all that shit, they got all that drama going on with the quarterback situation. And listen, this is a winnable game. This is a game they should win, and they're at home for this game. All right? So they have to beat the Colts. I don't know. The Cardinals scare me. Let's just keep going here. Then they have the bye, which will be well needed at that point, I'm sure. Then you got the Seahawks. Now, I don't think the Seahawks are an easy game either, but the Seahawks are at least they're home for the Seahawk game. Seahawks are 4-5, so they seem to be slipping a little bit, but it's Geno Smith, and he can be, he can have the chip on his shoulder with the Jets and all that, all that shit. So, another tough game, but is it a winnable game? It is. Seahawks are coming all the way across the country to play the Jets. The Jets are home. To me, the Jets have the advantage. Especially if they're winning these games and they're stacking wins, they should be able to take care of the Seahawks. Now, here comes a scary opponent, Miami. And it's in Miami. Do I think they're going to sweep the Dolphins? I mean, I can't remember the last time they swept the Dolphins. Division rival, whether or not I don't know what's going to be going on with the Tua situation at that point. But the Dolphins are not having a good year because of the Tua incident, and, they're just not having a good year. Dolphins are 2-6. Listen, I thought the fucking Patriot game was winnable. Beyond winnable. And they were 1-6, and they fucking lost to the Patriots. It's, a division game, man. They're not easy. Division games aren't easy. So this game scares me. So if I'm going to predict where they might get that loss, I think one of those games might be to Miami. Because, I mean, even though Miami's not playing well, it's a division rival, and the Jets seem to have trouble with Miami. I feel like one of the losses, now we said it would be 2 losses tops, right? But really, they have to go 8-1. That one loss might come from one of the Miami games. Then we have the Jaguars. Now, come on. They got to fucking beat the Jaguars. Fucking Jaguars are 2-7. They got to fucking beat the Jaguars. All right? Then you got the Rams. The Rams, to me, the Rams themselves are a wild card. Rams are 4-4. So, winnable, I would say so, but not easy. Like the Cardinal game. And the Miami game. And the Seahawks game. And the Colts game. Listen, I don't think any of these games are going to be easy. But we're talking about, are they winnable? Can the Jets get hot and go on a streak here? So after the Rams, we got probably the toughest game in the 9-game stretch, all right? But listen, in the first Buffalo game, the Jets really should have won that game. And the Jets can play Buffalo pretty good, but they seem to play Buffalo better at home than they do when they play at Buffalo. This one's at Buffalo. It's week 17. Who the fuck knows how many feet of snow are going to be up there, or how cold it's going to be, so this is the toughest game out of the 9-game stretch. It's funny. Now that I'm doing this, I'm like, I don't know if they're going to fucking be able to do this. But I did say I was going to make this video, and I do feel like it's a possibility. Let's go back to Buffalo. Buffalo's 7-2 now. Buffalo is now having an impressive season. And then we have the final game of the season. And who knows? It might come down to these 2 games, especially this last one, to see if they're going to get into the playoffs. Usually that's how it happens, right? But then you have Miami again. So, but at least that one's at home. That favors the Jets because now the Dolphins have to come to a cold climate. And that affects them. So I don't care what anybody says. The Jets will be more acclimated for that game than the Dolphins. So if the Jets are going to slip against the Dolphins, I think it'll be the first Dolphin game. So, but that's it. That's the 9-game stretch. Let's just take a quick look at it one more time now. We already got the win against the Texans. Cardinals will be tough, but winnable. Colts, tough, but winnable. Seahawks, same thing, tough, but winnable. So they really should win all these games. Here's the first possible loss to me. Then Jaguars. If they lose to the fucking Jaguars, then they don't deserve to fucking make the playoffs. All right? Rams, again. The Rams, that to me, like I said, within itself is a wild card game. But winnable? Yes. Buffalo. Really tough, winnable game. Could be the loss. Could be the second loss. All right? Then you have Miami to close the season. Let's just say they have 2 losses at that point. I think then, they go into the Miami game needing to win that to have a 9-8 record, and then probably need some help to get in. So does that sound possible? I think it does. Listen, we're going to find out soon because they got the Cardinals coming up. And we'll see how they do against the Cardinals. They lose against the Cardinals, and I think their chances just go right out the window, basically. because now you gotta run the table on all those other teams. The Cardinals, let's see, Cardinals, Colts, Seahawks. That's 3. They gotta win the next 3 games. They have to. That'll take them to 6-6, and their confidence will be flying at that point. That'll be a 4-game winning streak. So that's what they have to do. Basically, they have to go into Week 14 at 6-6, full of steam, to play this Dolphin game. And then from there, and then if they actually win that game, they'll be 7-6, going into the Jaguar game, which could put them at 8-6. Then you got the Rams. If they're 8-6 against the Rams, they just might be on fire at that point. That could put them at 9-6 right there. Then with the Bills and the Dolphins, with the last 2, you give them a loss in one of those, 9-7, and then the other is a win, 10-7. That's with them going 8-1 in the last 9, and that to me will get them into the playoffs. And like I said, if they lose 2, then I think you're looking at a 9-8 season and needing some outside help to get in. But that's still a possible scenario. So you tell me, what do you think, man? Because is it delusional? Maybe it is, but maybe it's not so delusional. It's not going to be easy. Like I said, the key, 1 game at a time, starting with the Cardinals. And then we'll just go from there. So we'll see what happens. Let me just take a look at one more thing here. We said the 7th seed is really what we're going to target, right? Oh, this is what I also wanted to talk about. So that's from the Jet end, all right? It's from the Jet side of things. Let's take a look at who they are really contending with now. Now, yeah, you got to root for the Jets to win, but you got to start rooting for some teams, some specific teams, to lose. So let's take a look at the teams that we need to lose. Like I said, to me, 6-7. I think the Chargers are getting in. They're 5-3. I think if Herbert stays healthy, and Chargers look like they're headed for the playoffs. This is who we have to take a look at. The Broncos, the Colts, the Bengals, and then we have the Jets, right? So here it is. To me, these are the 4 teams that are going to shoot for the wild card. All right? Broncos, Colts, Bengals, and Jets. To me, those are the 4 teams that are going to fight for the wild card. That last position, that last 7th spot. To me, everybody else is out of this thing. Titans are 2-6, Dolphins are 2-6, Browns 2-7, Jaguars 2-7, 2-7, 2-7. So, I mean, the Jets are they're just on the bubble, but they are in better shape than the other teams. Out of these last 4 teams, Broncos, Colts, Bengals, Jets, the team that scares me, obviously, is right here, the Bengals. Because, listen, the Bengals are fucked up. They'll start 0-5, and then they'll win the next fucking 12 games. So, the Bengals are 4-5, but to me, that doesn't mean anything. Like, literally, the Bengals can wind up 12-5 because they're just fucking crazy like that. They do have a great quarterback, and they do have a solid team, and they've been to the Super Bowl very recently, and they actually should be like up here with one of these teams, but they're hanging down at the bottom with the teams that are in the hunt. So the Bengals, you got to root really hard for the Bengals to keep losing. Maybe it's just not their year. Maybe they slip up and keep slipping. I think if the Bengals get a couple of more losses, then I think their season might fold. But they are the most dangerous team as far as a team getting in our way from getting into the playoffs. And I think many of you would agree with me on that. I think the Broncos are going to fade out. I think the Colts are going to fade out. Not so much fade out, but I think if we go on the streak I'm talking about, we will override, the Colts, the Broncos. And what did I say? Week 4. What did I say about this fucking game? I was screaming it. Go back and watch that fucking video. The Bronco game in week 4, I said it was like a must win. Like that was a game they had to win for many reasons. And it was a game they should have won. Now, granted, the Broncos might be better than what I think a lot of people thought they were going to be this year. But still, that to me was a game the Jets should have won. And now, look, it comes back to haunt them. Because if it comes down between Denver and the Jets, Denver's got the tiebreaker. They beat the Jets in the regular season. That's what I'm talking about. You have to win those fucking games early in the season. Especially when you really should win those games. What do you think? I mean, I think we're looking at a somewhat realistic possibility here of the Jets getting into the playoffs. So you let me know. You let me know what you think. Am I completely fucking delusional? Or, or do we actually have a shot here? I actually think the Jets have a realistic shot at grabbing that 7th wild card spot. So there it is, man. There's my take on the last 9 games, including the Houston game, which puts us at 1-0 now, right? So 1-0. 8 games left in the streak, right? That means because we're 1-0 already, we now have to go 7-1 or 6-2. That would be really pushing it. But 7-1 out of the next 8. It's doable. Again, like I said, these early games are going to tell the tale. If they could take care of this team first, because like I said, this team scares me, then I think they take care of the Colts. And then at that point, they're rolling. I think they take care of the Seahawks at that point. And then we're talking. Then we could be in business. So there it is. Let me know what you think. Playoffs, possible? Who knows? Maybe.